Welcome back to His Endless Rambles, where I like to talk on and on and on about the things that I love. And today we're going to do something a little different, because the PlayStation Showcase arrived and it was a showstopper. I mean, oh my god, PlayStation fans are eating good, and especially God of War fans. And me as a massive God of War fan, I have just been filling my belly ever since that trailer dropped. I mean, I've been watching it. How many times have I watched it? About 50 maybe? Nah, that's a bit of an exaggeration. Nope, actually no, 50 sounds about right. And listening to the interviews and just, you know, in general, sniffing out any information that they're dropping. And I just want to talk about everything that I have managed to, you know, suss out and find about this game, because I am so excited. I don't know, gotta take some deep breaths, Woo. Anyway, so without further ado, let's just dive straight into this and talk about everything that we know, or as far as I know that we know, about God of War Ragnarok. Now, let's start off with talking about that trailer. Now, that trailer was amazing, because what did it do? It does what a good trailer, you know, is supposed to do. It tells you what the game is about, what themes are going to be explored, what characters are in it, you know, shows a bit of the world, shows the gameplay, shows so much of the amazing gameplay, which already was top tier in God of War 2018. But now they've refined it, they've made it, you can tell that they've made tweaks to it that are both tiny, just how the axes swung, and, you know, some executions, to, you know, massive ones like Atreus riding on a freaking stag as one of his runic attacks, and also Kratos having different shields. I don't know if his old shield gets damaged and he has to get a new one, or if we're able to trade out shields, which would expand on how melee is executed. Because in the first game, you had fists, you had shield, and that was good work for what it was supposed to be. Something that you can interchange, something that you can switch to if an enemy is resistant to a certain kind of attack. But the melee was not as refined as the Leviathan axe and the Blades of Chaos, and that's expected. If you have two weapons that are that intricately crafted and the mechanics of them both are so complex, you're not going to dedicate a lot of time to melee. I mean, even in the other God of War games, it was all about the weapons. You know, fists, But now it looks like they're adding a little bit more, because if you can trade out shields, who knows what else you can do. Fingers crossed, we get a lot more customization when it comes to that. And that's exactly what people wanted from this game, you know. They hit the nail on the head with the first one. Just take everything that was in that and make it better. And guess what? Almost every single enemy in this trailer is completely brand new. And that was one of the complaints that people had, you know, enemy variety. I mean, not specifically enemy variety, it's mostly a boss variety, but Thor, Freya, that weird looking dragon thing. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of bosses in this game that are going to be different. This is Ragnarok we're talking about. You could have Surtur, you could have Fenrir, you could have there's so many choices for enemies. Heimdall and Loki are supposed to kill each other in Ragnarok. Ooh, let's see what happens there. But I'm getting off topic. Let's go back to what I was talking about, the enemies. So, we see quite a lot of enemies in this trailer. Some of them are a bit ambiguous. Like, for example, you see this big dude and these little dudes. I didn't realize this big dude was the same as these little dudes. I thought that was a berserker, you know, like a bear berserker. But they look more like toads, or, you know, like goblins. No, the little ones look like goblins, the big ones look like ogres or something. But yeah, I'm not sure what they are. But there is one thing that really caught my eye. Actually, technically two things, but let's start with the one thing. The one thing is this. Now, what does that look like to you? That's a rainbow, right? Like the Bifrost. Now, that is a humanoid looking enemy, a human. He basically looks like a human, a Viking warrior, yeah? Now, what I think is that is an Anharia. Now, what is that? That is the warriors who die and go to Valhalla and await Ragnarok. So they're basically like Odin's reserve army that he's building for Ragnarok. Now it would make sense that if Ragnarok happens, well, when Ragnarok happens I should say, because this game is called God of War Ragnarok, Odin is going to start sending these guys to get in your way, because obviously we're going against Asgard in this game. You know, Kratos and Atreus definitely, even though Kratos is vehemently against it, going to end up going to war with Asgard. And imagine how cool it would be to just be like moving, you know, going through the level, and then suddenly just like rainbow, what are they called, beams come down, and these warriors just come out and start attacking you. And the second thing that caught my eye was this guy. Now, as far as I know, centaurs don't exist, or centaur-like creatures don't exist in Norse mythology. Now, in my head, I was like, oh, what? Is that a centaur from Greece? Is that an agent of Athena? Is Athena trying to make plays? But that was just my overactive fan, just playing into a fantasy of this whole series culminating into a cross-pantheon war. I say fantasy, but I'll elaborate on that later. I actually think that's what's going to happen. So yeah, this centaur, I think it's just a reimagining of a Norse creature, or even just a completely invented one, because it has runic tattoos, and a Greek character would not have that. Now, as for the trailer itself, like I said, it did exactly what it needed to do. Also showed us a little glimpse, I think, of the new soundtrack, and oh my god, I'm pretty sure it's Bear McCreary still, because only he could capture the just essence of God of War in a track the way that it did in this trailer. And oh, mwah, chef kiss, beautiful. Also, this is just a random thought, I really like the juxtaposition between this trailer and the first one that was ever shown at E3 2016. Because in that one, it had like Atreus outside and he was just playing with his toys. A lot of people didn't know what it was because we didn't know God of War was coming back. And then he goes inside and the silhouette of Kratos comes out, and then they go and hunt for deer and he's struggling to get it. But then at the beginning of this trailer, it's Kratos we see first, and he's just, you know, whittling an arrow. And then Atreus' silhouette comes in and he's holding a deer, just, you know, he's got it hunched over his shoulders, which he caught by himself, which shows just how much his character has grown since the last game. One of the things that I love about stories is going through the journey with the characters, where at the very beginning, you know, we have them, Atreus, he's not really shy, but he's kind of this, he's not got a great relationship with his dad, he's a bit of a little shit sometimes, and then progresses to being an even bigger shit when he finds out he's a god. But then he redeems himself and he becomes this not fully realized, because he's still growing, but fully realized for his character arc of that game. But then his new character arc gets set up, you know, who is Loki, who am I, going up against the gods, because he knows that they're out there and that they view him and his father as enemies. You know, exploring his heritage, because now he knows that his mother was a giant, and he has all of these thoughts and conflicted feelings, and he has questions that Kratos just can't answer, which is why we see him getting so antsy to want to get out of the woods, even though, because Kratos, he just wants to keep his family safe. He doesn't care about Ragnarok, he doesn't care about the gods or some divine grand destiny. He's dealt with all that crap before. You know, look where it led him. And he just wants to keep his son away from that stuff. But of course, Atreus, he's a kid, and he has in his mind that he has a grand destiny that comes from his giant heritage. But yeah, enough about the trailer, even though I could keep talking about it for ages. I want to talk about some of the details that I hid in it, as well as the supplementary information that we've been given by Santa Monica. Now, let's talk about the characters first. Kratos, same old Kratos, just has a cape. It's a badass cape, but, you know, not that much difference. Atreus, wow, he has grown, and this was expected, I think, because Sonny was not gonna keep that voice forever. He was going to grow up, and he was gonna go through that inevitable thing called puberty, and his voice was gonna drop. So it made sense to, you know, progress the character to be older, but also Fimbulwinter has to last for 3 winters, so it makes sense. But also, I like that they didn't just try and make him, you know, younger and recast. I love that they are trying to stick with all of the characters, all of the actors as well. Everybody's coming back. Everybody's coming back except Baldur. Well, as far as we know, because Baldur did die in battle. Oh wait, no, did he? Did he? I don't think. Oh crap! Did he technically not die in battle because? Well, he was struggling. I guess it's a gray area. I don't know if like being, getting your neck snapped while you're in like a chokehold counts as dying in battle, and if he would go to Valhalla. But anyway, maybe we'll see Baldur again. Maybe. But yeah, Brock and Sindri are back. They probably haven't seen Kratos or Atreus in quite some time because of the way that Brock reacts to Atreus. He's like, whoa, you grew. So yeah, it might be a while. Maybe they went back to wherever they are, which I'm pretty sure is Spartalheim. But we'll see more of that in the game. Now then, some new characters. Thor. Fat Thor. Red-headed fat Thor. Now, I know a lot of people were a bit iffy on Thor being, this massive dude. But that's Thor. That's just how he be. They called it, Mimir said it himself. He's a fat dauber. Just how it be. And honestly, I'm so glad that they made a distinctive Thor instead of just going for, oh yeah, muscle-bound dude. Oh yeah, like Chris Hemsworth clone. Oh yeah, blah blah blah. Like, I love the Marvel Thor, but this is more accurate. He kind of just reminds me of a more realistically proportioned version of Neil Gaiman's Sandman's Thor, and I feel like he's gonna have the same kind of personality. Like in the trailer, he says, "Oh, you seem like a calm and reasonable person," and I think he's being coy. He's just being not coy. I guess catty is the best word I can think of for it. Where he's kind of just mocking him, or mocking Kratos, and he is going to be played by Ryan Hurst, which is really good casting. Ryan Hurst can play Thor in a live-action version of the actual game. And I think that Thor is going to be an interesting mirror to Kratos. I think he's going to be a version of Kratos that didn't become wise and reserved with age. He just became, more of himself. Because in the old days, old Kratos, I say old Kratos, but young Kratos he was a piece of work, but time tempered him. But that hasn't happened to Thor. Thor is still a belligerent, he's still a boastful lout, and I'm excited to see him play off of Kratos. Now, the opposite of Thor, we've got Tyr. He's going to be played by Ben Pendergast, and there is a lot of interesting information on Tyr, despite the fact that he doesn't say a word in the trailer. We get so much information from him, right? So obviously, the obvious things, he's massive. Holy crap, that is a Hercules to Kratos comparison. Massiveness? Whatever. I'll allow it. But going into his details, so in the last game, we found out that Tyr was kind of like a wandering god. He traveled to different realms. He went to Japan and met like the Shinto gods. He went to Egypt, met the Egyptian gods. And also we know that the Celtic pantheon exists because Mimir, he was in the court of the Fairy King. Basically, it's like not really properly confirmed or not that Mimir might be Puck, but all we know is that the Celtic pantheon exists, and Tyr has traveled all over. Now, and you can see it on his character. And how can you see it? Well, on his belt, he has a gold coin. A coin with an owl on it. The symbol of Athena. It's an Athenian coin from Greece. On his arm, he has hieroglyph tattoos from Egypt. He's got all of these like little trinkets from all around the world, and that makes me so much more interested in what Tyr has to say, because he's been to all these pantheons, and I have a feeling that's not something they're not just gonna bury the lead on that, and he'll be like, oh yeah, I've been around, oh hey, yeah, you're the ghost of Sparta, I recognize you, and then just never bring it up again. I think that is going to add to the culmination of the Norse saga, and like I said, I'll get to that later. So, from Tyr, we move on to another new character, Angrboda. Now, some people might recognize her as the mother of Jormungandr, Hel, and Fenrir with Loki. So, our boy is going to get a little bit of a love interest, I think. And she's going to be played by Leia DeLeon Hayes. Now, she's the last living giant, which is even more interesting to me because that implies that she was in Jotunheim when whatever went down, and she managed to escape. So she must know what happened to all the giants, because we still don't know. We still don't know why all the giants died in Jotunheim. Like, they escaped, they cut off everything, but for some reason, they died. And they never elaborate on that at the end of the game, so that's still a mystery we need to discover. And she escaped. And, you know, at the end of the trailer when she's talking about all of your answers, you know, your questions being answered, but not all of them, I think that's her talking to Loki and he's trying to figure out what happened to the giants and he's asking her. And she's like, well, I've got some, but I haven't got them all. And I'm excited to see this character play off of Atreus. I'm excited to see how their relationship is going to be developed. I'm excited to see what she can do and how she's going to add to the story. Now I want to move on from talking about the characters to talking about the world. Now, straight out the gate, we know that all the realms are going to be visited. Every single one. All the ones that were locked in the first game will be accessible, and we'll be going back to old realms that we've already been to with new locations in them. So it won't just be a retread, it will be completely new locations. Now, the first thing that really stuck out to me that was interesting was that the Lake of Nine is frozen over due to Fimbulwinter. And you'll be traveling over it not by boat, but by dog sled or wolf sled. So, if the Lake of Nine is frozen, what's happened to our boy Jormungandr? Now, from this key art, you can see part of Jormungandr's body in the background, and it kind of just looks like it's not animate, if you know what I mean. And maybe he's coming out of the crack, like that's in the side, maybe not. So, what I believe, like some people think that Jormungandr might be dead, that Thor killed Jormungandr before he arrived at Kratos' house. But what I think is he's hibernating beneath the ice, waiting for Ragnarok, because Thor and Jormungandr are supposed to fight once Ragnarok comes, and it makes sense that Jormungandr is going to sleep until Ragnarok arrives, and he's going to wake up and fight Thor. So I don't think Jormungandr is dead. I just think he's hibernating. Now, before I move on to talking about the next realm, there is something interesting about this scene. Now, we see two ravens fly past, and it kind of looks like they're leading Kratos. Now, we've seen Odin's ravens in the past games. Now, the ones we were seeing, the collectible versions, they were more like astral projection versions of the ravens, you know, the glowing green, you know, not quite real versions. Now these look like the real Hugin and Munin, which are the ravens of Odin, you know, his eyes, they let him see everything. Now I think this part of the game is either them leading Kratos to Odin, or Odin communicating to Kratos through the ravens. You know, I think Odin is gonna have a presence in the game before he shows up as an actual character. Like, we're gonna hear his voice, but we're not gonna see him for quite some time, maybe not until like the middle of the game. Similar, but not exactly like how we heard Magni and Modi before we actually met them. But Odin definitely is going to be in the game. He's been cast. I can't remember who's playing him. Richard Schiff. He's been cast and Richard Schiff is playing him. Which is interesting that we have a voice actor, but no character model, which makes me think that we definitely won't see him until later in the game. Because they showed Thor's character model, because I'm pretty sure he's going to be in the very, very first part of the game. I mean, they might make a Boulder type boss fight, because God of War is known for having these bombastic, amazing first boss fights. But we'll see if they, you know, adhere to that. I mean, they already said that they're adopting previous traditions. Like, for example, that's a big thing that I haven't mentioned. Cory Barlog is not coming back to direct, which ordinarily would make me worry, but Cory, as fantastic as he is is not all of God of War. The team is solid. They know what they're doing. And yes, a lack of Corey is sad, but I think he's still the creative director, and I'm pretty sure he's actually working on something else. So it makes sense that he dedicated so much time to God of War 2018. He dedicated his life. It makes sense that he would want to break, and he deserves it. He deserves it. Nobody should be mad at him for wanting to step down. If we're talking about somebody's health or getting something that I want, somebody's health, their health needs to come first. Like, I love God of War, and I'm going to be excited every single day of my life until Ragnarok comes out. But if they had to delay it 5 years just to make sure everybody is healthy and, not pushing themselves too hard, I would be 100% fine with that. Anyway, let's talk about Spartalheim. Now, Spartalheim is the realm of the dwarves, and I think that's going to be the new hub world instead of the Lake of Nine. So I think we're going to go to the Lake of Nine, going to use the Bifrost one last time, go to Spartalheim, and that is the big, watery kind of pirate, not pirate, but like swashbuckling looking realm. And the reason I think it's going to be the new hub is because 1, Brock and Sindri are there, and it looks like they have a shop there. 2, the Durlin character also has a shop there. And 3, in this scene, you can kind of see like roots of Yggdrasil. So there's probably a Bifrost-like station in that room that we're going to use to travel to different realms, instead of, using the Lake of Nine all the time. Or maybe we're going to find a more remote way to travel through the realm. No, there's no way. Because yeah, the PS5 has, that fast loading thing that was in Rift Apart, but it would just destroy the PS4 if we could just switch through realms, like just by pressing a button. But yeah, that realm looks really cool because NPCs, like, this is wild for a God of War game. Everyone was like going crazy, not crazy, but everyone was like shocked that God of War 2018 had Brock and Sindri, had NPCs in it. And those were just 2. And then obviously like Freya as well. So 3 NPCs that you could go and talk to and to have conversations with. But now it looks like we're going to have a whole lot more. I mean, this world looks alive. In God of War 2018, it made sense that the world looked dead because it pretty much was. The flood killed everybody. The dead were walking the realm. Everybody had like fled that area of the world that Kratos and Atreus were in. But now we're in Spartalheim, realm of the dwarves. They're doing okay. So of course it's going to be a little bit more alive. It's going to be a little bit more, community kind of feeling in it. And I am excited to see that. Now, on top of Spartalheim as a new realm, we have Vanaheim. Now, there's no confirmation that this is Vanaheim, but it doesn't look like anything we've ever seen except from one place, because to me it kind of looks similar to the window in Freya's hut, which is into Vanaheim, because she has that conversation with Atreus talking about how it's her homeland and she can't really go back to it anymore. So maybe Angrboda is in Vanaheim, that's where she escaped to, and she's with the Vanir gods. That's one thing that I haven't even mentioned, like seeing the Vanir gods. Like, we're definitely going to see them because 1, Freya, and 2, this is the last game in the Norse saga. It would be a bit weird if we didn't get to see the Vanir and the Aesir. I mean, I don't think they're going to cram it full of god characters, but it would be at least nice to see Frey, because just to see him and Freya, whether it's strained, whether it's good, whether he's sided with her to try and kill you, or maybe he thinks she's, strayed from the path and is trying to help you protect her from going over the edge. Who knows? All I know is that I'm excited to see what Vanaheim has to offer. Now, we also know we're returning to Alfheim. Like, dark elves there, just flitting around. That guy who maybe I don't know, I'm just assuming maybe that's the dude that we killed and he's just actually alive, or maybe it's his son. He did die. When he died, he was like, oh, you have no idea what you've done. So maybe we're going to find out what we've done and see the repercussions of setting the light free. Of course, we have Midgard. We're probably going to go back to Hell in some capacity. We're going to go back to Muspelheim. We're going to go back to Niflheim, and they're all going to be probably different. We're not going to be challenge. They're not going to be challenge realms. They're probably going to be full levels that we go through. I mean, we're definitely going to have to go back to Muspelheim if we're going to have Ragnarok, because we need Surtur and we need the Twilight Sword. We need both those things. So yeah, that's about it for the realms. And now I just want to talk about one thing that interested me in the trailer, which was about realm traversal. So we have the boat, obviously. Boat is back. Boat stories. Let's hope for more boat stories. But there's also this, the dog sled or the wolf sled. Now, this is what interests me, because when I saw these two wolves, one is like white, one is like whitish with a red tail, the other one is like grayish black. Now in my mind, I was like, oh, what if that's Skull and Hattie? You know? The wolves that devour the sun and moon when Ragnarok comes. But then I was like, why would Skull and Hattie be pulling around Kratos and Atreus? Why would they be in the forms of two regular looking wolves? But if you look at this scene, where Atreus is holding this orb, written on it in runes is the name Hattie, which makes me think maybe these wolves are associated with Skull and Hattie. Not necessarily them exactly, they might be, but I don't know, maybe. But the fact that he is holding an orb that says Hattie on it, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a Pokeball. Maybe it's like, maybe that's how they store Skull and Hattie, in like little orbs, and then like Atreus throws them out and they come out as like Pokemon, and then they drag the sled. I don't know. That sounds like a pretty wild idea, but God of War is a pretty wild series, so there's really no way of us knowing, like I said, until the game comes out. But that orb and those wolves and the name, highly suspect. I'm definitely got my eye on that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that this is the finale. This is the last game in the Norse saga. Ragnarok is 100% going to happen if this is the case, because you can't just set up Ragnarok and then just never have it happen. Or can you? Anyway, so yeah, Odin is 100% in this game, played by Richard Schiff. So we're gonna have a resolution with Odin, we're gonna have a resolution with Thor, we're gonna have a resolution with Freya. Looks like all of the threads in the last game are going to be tied up, mostly. Because this is what I think is going to happen. Like, this game is probably going to be like way longer than the last one. It's probably going to be like in the 40-hour length, I have a feeling, because this game has been in development for quite some time, but not a lot of it has actually been dedicated that much to what you think. Because I think this game, that the sequel to the God of War 2018 will be, because I think it was Corey who said that a sequel to God of War 2018 would be 100 times easier to make, because they have like assets, they have the framework, they don't have to build everything from the ground up. And yet it's, you know, production cycle's been pretty long, which makes me think that this game is going to be very long. I mean, I'm not going to be mad if it's not Witcher 3 levels, but yeah, I would be completely happy with like a 40-hour game. I don't need like 100 plus. So yeah, this game is going to be pretty long, because it has to be the culmination of the entire Norse saga. Now, I say Norse, I'm going to keep saying culmination of the Norse saga, and I think they pick those words very specifically. And the reason why is this game is definitely not the last game with Kratos and Atreus in. I don't think this is God of War 2018 and then God of War 2018 sequel and then new God of War. I think this is God of War Ragnarok, direct sequel to God of War Ragnarok set in a different pantheon. Because in my mind, I have this belief. This is my theory. My theory is that Odin is going to escape Ragnarok, because all Odin wants to do is prevent it so that he can keep living, essentially. I think Odin is, because he doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to get killed. So he's trying to find a loophole. He's trying to find a way out. And his way out is to leave Asgard, to leave the Norse pantheon. And now we've got one stray Norse god, one living Greek god, both of whom have one common shared sentiment: a hatred for Kratos. Now, I know this is a bit wild. This is just going out there. Like, that's more of what I believe, but what I 100% think is going to happen is that the next pantheon is going to be Egypt, because they said, because originally God of War 2018 was going to be set in Egypt. They had concept art. They were making assets. It was on the precipice of being created, but then they switched to Norse. So I think Egypt is next, and it's going to be a journey back to Greece, if you get what I mean. So Atreus and Kratos are going to come down from Scandinavia. They're gonna go through Egypt to get to Greece, and they're gonna have a game set in Egypt, and then they're gonna have here's my out there idea. I know I'm saying that quite a lot, but I'm just jumping from one to the other. So if Kratos and Atreus end up causing Ragnarok, right, and Odin escapes, and Odin meets with Athena, both of these characters are like, well, this dude just destroyed your pantheon, and then he came to my pantheon and destroyed it too. So we gotta go tell the other gods what the deal is with this Kratos guy, what the deal is with his son Atreus. They are a danger to all gods, and they need to be wiped out. Because I don't see Kratos ever pursuing a war again, only if the trouble comes to him. And the trouble will come to him if the gods of the world decide to unite against him. Now that is the ultimate God of War game. Imagine the pantheons of the world against Kratos and Atreus and all of their allies. That would be the wildest thing. Hell, maybe at the beginning of the third game, if I don't know, like this is me in my mind assuming Kratos survives Ragnarok. Maybe that's what happens, you know, they start their little inter-pantheon group against Kratos, and then somebody from the Egyptian pantheon kidnaps Atreus, and Kratos has to go to Egypt to find him. And then that's what sets off the events of the third God of War set in Egypt. I don't know, I'm just spitballing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see where this whole storyline is going to go. Because it could go anywhere. It really could go anywhere. Like, if I could show you my face when you're going down into Tyr's vault and it shows that mural of Japan and Egypt and Greece, I was going wild. And then when you go into like the secret room in the Realm Tower in Hell, that's Tyr's, and it has like the symbols of the God of War, and it has the Triskelion, and it has the Eye of Horus, and oh man, I was losing it. But I definitely think that's gonna be where this all goes, where it all ends up. Because I'm telling you guys, the first God of War 2018 was already just the most, honestly, and I can say this from my heart, it was probably one of the most enjoyable, heartfelt, exciting, blood pumping, just electrifying gaming experience I've had. It is in my top 3, top 10, top 3, I don't know, I'd have to rearrange, I rearrange it all the time. All I know is it's all the way at the top, and if this game can even deliver a fraction of what I felt playing God of War 2018, then it's going to be one of the most amazing games of all time. I know it sounds hyperbolic, but that's just how I feel. So yeah, that's everything that I know about God of War Ragnarok, or at least everything that I've been able to figure out. And I'm sure that there is so many more other things that people will discover. I mean, I've only got 2 eyes and 1 brain. There are loads of people out there who are way smarter than me and way more got way sharper eyes, and I'm sure they'll find way more things to, you know, dissect and investigate. All we can do now is just wait, which is what I'm going to do for the next year. Oh god, I hope it's not a year, like an exact year. I mean, I got my fingers crossed for March again, but honestly, I think this game is a lot more done than I thought it was going to be. I thought we were just going to get a CGI trailer at this showcase, but we got a full gameplay trailer, the kind that was shown at E3 2017, and God of War came out the year after, in 2018. So maybe we're a lot closer than we think? I don't know. Like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. Hey, if you like that video, I got a lot more. Most of them just me rambling about the things that I like, but if you're into that, go ahead. And if you're really into that, feel free to like and subscribe.
You seem like a calm and reasonable person. Are you a calm and reasonable person?